Hey, hey, I am so glad to be here, and I am so glad that you are too. Let's dive in. I don't know about you, but here in Asheville, North Carolina, in case you're wondering, it is already starting to cool off this morning and consistently now for several days. It's been like in the 60s and a high of 80, which feels like it's cooling off to me. I guess it all depends where you are in the world, of course. I used to live in Florida, South Florida, and it felt hot, like hot most of the year. So if you're in Florida, you're probably not feeling this. And in other places of the world, if you're anything like Asheville, North Carolina, where it's like very moderate, very spread throughout the year of like seasons and all the things, I hope it's cooling off for you too. I love it cooling off. I love those early mornings where it's like, ooh, let me be cozy. And then I like it to warm up actually during the day so I can be outside without having to bundle. And it's so much fun. So I've been intentional in thinking, have I done all of the things for this year, for this season that I was really wanting to do to where it feels like, yes, I made the most of my summer. I loved it. And I'm just like thinking through, like, have I worn all my like super fun summer clothes that I bought at the beginning of summer? And are there like is there any activities that I haven't done yet that I really want to be doing? And I'm curious where you're at. Like, have you done all the things you wanted to do this summer? Does it feel like a really well-lived summer? Does it feel deeply satisfying for where you're at, closing out the summer months? For me, I feel like summer really goes through at least the middle of September. Sometimes even the end of September still feels like summer. Just kind of depends. And I know for me, one of the things I identified is I haven't quite spent enough time outside. Like, I've spent plenty of time outside, but not like really deeply relaxed time outside where I feel that real warmth, soothing in, right? So I like to be outside for that kind of a thing, like earlier in the day or later in the day, and also getting like a little bit of color on my skin. I don't know about you, but I like a little bit of color. All right. So today's topic, basically, right? We all want it all, and we all want it right now. Like, if we're just being honest, we're like little kids. I want the best thing right now. Yes, I love it. We're reconnecting with that little kid in you and making it be the best thing you could be doing for yourself right now. Okay, so the title I gave the podcast is Focus on This One Thing to Get Faster Results. And that one thing, I'm not going to keep it hidden from you, is desire. Focusing on what you desire is actually the fastest way to get the results you actually really want. Another caveat to this, right? When I'm talking about results that you really want and being able to create them the way you really want them, it's also that you're creating them in a way that feels energizing and in alignment and feels sustainable and repeatable many times over. So naturally, if this was like a one and done thing where you just like needed something done like very quickly and you wanted to like work for the next 3 days and get it done, that's not really what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the more like bigger picture life style that you're choosing to embrace, where most days, right, like 90% of your days can feel really easeful, and you're not getting to the end of the day most of the time, right? And again, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you're not getting to the end of the day and thinking, oh, I feel exhausted. It wiped me out, et cetera, right? Does that land for you? Because that's what we're all about here at Go All In, right? It's really about knowing how to create sustainable results that you really want, that feel easeful, repeatable, and aligned and authentic and natural. So the way that you do that is focusing on desire. And one of the ways I like to think about desire, and one of the ways I generally talk about it, is your vision, right? And your vision needs to be rooted in your desires So rooted in desire. And I also just kind of love calling my vision my North Star, because again, when we have a North Star, we always know what direction to go in, right? The North Star, right? For the literal North Star up in the sky, it's always pointing north. Or so I remember. I did not verify this before I got on this podcast, which probably would have been useful. And I'm going off of memory, right? The North Star. It's like the place where you can look and know which direction is all around you and which direction is headed north. So then you can easily choose the direction you're meant to be going. And so for me, and the way I coach people and the way I help people, I'm constantly asking, what is it that you're really desiring? Because I think of your heart's desires, the most honest, the most authentic desires that you hold inside of a day, inside of a week, inside of a month, are literally your North Star. So it's the way to always come back and center and ground and be aligned and know exactly where you are. Okay, so the 3 things I'm going to give you today are, why does doing a lot of things actually not get you results that you love consistently over time? And how is focusing on desire actually going to get you faster results? Like, how does this work that focusing on your desires actually does get you faster results? And living from desire, right? How does it actually look? Like, what does that look like in real time to live from desire? And then I'm going to give you some super practical steps so you can just literally go start doing it right now, creating faster results. Okay, so let's dive in here to topic point number 1. You are conditioned to think the fastest way to getting the results that you want is doing a lot of things, right? This is why super successful people generally, unless they've done this work, have very full and busy schedules, right? They don't have a lot of blank space. They don't have a lot of downtime. They have a lot of go, go, go in their schedule, okay? And one of the ways you could think about this, or you know of this, is your life feels out of balance. You feel like you're too busy. And the reason, right, that this doesn't actually get you the results that you want is because you're working from a place within you that says, I need to cover all my bases. I need to work really hard. Like, it's a lot of old rules that you're living off of. I need to work really hard. Oftentimes that translates into I need to work really long hours. I need to be willing to do whatever it takes to get things done. From that place of like staying up late till 1 a.m., completing all of the things. And when you get done, you still feel like, oh, I haven't really gotten all the things done. I'm still behind, or there's like a whole list of things that needs to get done tomorrow. And it feels heavy, right? And so again, that can't, like, it just logistically doesn't make sense that that would actually be the fastest way to get things done. It seems like it, and that's what most of us were conditioned to believe, and it's not. It's actually what I've now come to understand and feel very certain of, what leads to burnout. Whether you hit burnout now or later, it leads to burnout, okay? It also leads to a lesser level of health than you could have, right? So it leads to various health problems. It leads to stress, anxiety, exhaustion, feeling overtired, feeling overcommitted, feeling like you don't have enough time, feeling like you don't have enough money, feeling like you don't have enough energy. And like I said, at some point, probably much earlier than retirement, you will experience a period of burnout or multiple periods of burnout or lack of interest in your life or feeling disconnected from your life or just ruminating on how you don't feel fully satisfied, how you don't feel energized, and questioning, is this all there is? If you're anything like me, that's what I got to at 38. So working hard and working a lot and just overall being super busy and trying to like cover all your bases is actually not what creates the fastest results. It's actually what creates a slow descent into burnout. So desire, just in summary, right? That is why doing a lot of things will not create the results that you love the fastest way. Okay, let's look at how focusing on desire actually does get you fast results and why it actually gets you faster results. Desire is actually what gets you those results you love the quickest because it narrows your focus and it requires you to up-level your life skills, like literally your approach to life. Those basics of life skills, most of us never upgrade them, like radically upgrade them so that we can live a fulfilled life. Most of us continue living from our life skills that were really more designed for survival. And this can be like making a lot of money, having a lot of friends, doing a lot of experiences. It's the difference here, right, which we're going to look at right after this point, is really understanding the difference between having all of that and getting to the end of your day and feeling exhausted and feeling like something is still missing versus having all of that and it feel really delicious and nourishing and supportive. Does that sound like something that resonates for you? All right. So narrowing your focus, right? When we shift from doing all the things and we shift to desire, it literally requires us to narrow our focus, which means we have to up-level our life skills, which means we get better at making decisions. We get better at making decisions quickly. We get better at making decisions that are actually supporting our desired results, which means we also get better at saying no to things that actually aren't going to support our vision, that aren't actually supporting us in the most nourishing way. Think about how you feel when you are doing things that you most enjoy inside of your day, right? One of the many exercises I've done in several different arenas is, what is your ideal day, right? Another thing you could look at is, what is your ideal relationship? What is the ideal relationship with your kids? What would the ideal year look like as it relates to travel and experiences, right? When we look at those things, it's usually completely different, or at least very distinctly different from what we're actually doing and or experiencing in our life. And one of the things that you can be aware of here, right, is it ultimately is it's a difference in energy and inspiration that ends up happening in your day-to-day life. So when your focus feels very broad and you're trying to cover all your bases and you're trying to do all of the things, you end up being very busy. Right? When you're focused in on your desires, you're focused in on the things that bring you the most energy, the things that light you up the most, the things that allow you to feel the most inspired, the things that allow you to feel the most creative. So naturally, you're going to get to the end of the day and feel like you're still have more energy to go, like you are feeling restful, even though you've been super busy and productive throughout the day. So part of the distinction that you go through when you shift your focus to being rooted in desire is rooting out those survival skills like people pleasing, seeking the approval of others, comparison, the need for other people in a way that doesn't feel good, right? You might know that we could just say generally as codependency, needing other people to do things for you or the way you want them to. There's that element of feeling like controlling that doesn't feel good, needing other people for your emotional or physical well-being, just to name a few, right? Versus narrowing in on your desires requires an up-leveling of your life skills. So you develop a self-reliance, a real self-reliance. You feel and are self-sufficient. You feel and recognize that you are able to emotionally and physically meet all of your needs. You are able to now appreciate other people being in your life versus needing them to be in your life, right? And so this is the difference between choosing people who you're really excited to have in your life versus people who you were just naturally born into and or feel like, oh, this is like the best that I'm going to get, so I'm just going to hold on to these people indefinitely. Your life gets to be rooted in what feels inspiring and uplifting versus what you feel like is all that you can get to. Okay. So just thinking about this in this realm of desire actually gets you the results you want the fastest because you're literally narrowing your focus, and then you're also getting rid of those things that are actually not serving you best and up-leveling your life skills to allow for so much more freedom and liberation and juicy connection. All right. And the last thing we're going to look at here is, what does this look like in real time, right? People always are like, yeah, but Sarah, is that really possible? Is that like really a thing? I'm like, yes, I'm doing it. And the people I work with are doing it. And there are actually a lot of other people that I'm now in relationship with and know of who are also doing it. So what it doesn't look like is your life is quote unquote perfect and without challenges or without upset feelings or any of that, right? That's just total make-believe that you could live in a place where there's no upsets or there's no feelings of sadness or fear or shame. What it does mean though, right, is that you're able to deal and experience those fears and shames and self-doubt and anxieties that naturally will still occur, but you're able to experience them in a way where you can easily shift them or harness them into something useful. And you're able to move forward rather than spiraling or feeling stuck. It may take you some time, but you are able to move forward relatively easily. So I want to just take you through a handful of specifics, like what does this really look like in real time? When your life is deeply rooted in these desires, right? You're living from desire. So some of the stories that I have heard and some of my clients and just lots of the people that I talk to in the world, right? Things that come up all the time are how you relate to money. And so when you're in this space of survival and this old way of living by the rules, living by what you think you should do, what you think you need to do, what makes sense, the general gist here is you end up making decisions based on what makes sense, what feels practical. So when it comes to money, you're naturally going to look at your bank account and be like, do I have enough money for that? You're going to feel a sense of getting your value from how successful you are, how much money is in your bank account, how big your business is. You're going to also make decisions related to whether or not you're going to make the money, whether or not you're going to get the return, whether or not you're going to make the money back versus prioritizing, is this thing for me? Is this going to get me closer to my vision and closer to the results I most desire, right? That's really like the shift here. So when you're in the desire, right, the shift specifically is you look at things that way, where it's like, is this for me? Is this going to get me closer to my goals? Let's see what else I have here in my notes. You're more inclined to exchange your own, like invest in things that are really going to light you up and allow you to do the things that inspire you. Go on those vacations, go on those special adventures, have those interests, right, that maybe aren't going to return a big financial return, but they're going to create more creativity in you. They're going to get you more excited. They're going to fulfill you more. So that's one example in real time. Another example in real time is in your significant relationships, right? When we're operating from the old way, we're thinking about relationships being hard. We're thinking about, oh, I'd really like to give more attention to my relationship, but honestly, what ends up happening is I give the majority of my time to my business, and then I give the leftovers to my significant relationship, right? What else? This is also related to thinking that the other person needs to change in order for you to feel good about you and your life, right? Or you wanting to tell the person that you're with, your significant other, that they need to load the dishwasher in like the quote unquote right way. So there's going to be this element of control and or feeling like you're lacking something and not able to really get it because your partner isn't able to give it to you. When you're really well resourced and you're focused in on desire, you are able to build this level of self-reliance where you're getting all of what you quote unquote need from within yourself. Okay. And so instead of like demanding, for instance, right? Let me just tell you a story. Instead of demanding that your partner, quote unquote, loads the dishwasher correctly or drives the way that they, quote unquote, should, right? You allow for a new kind of freedom to be there. And so you don't dictate how things have to be. You're able to speak for yourself and allow the other person to have that same kind of freedom. When you're rooted in desire and you're approaching your relationships, you feel this level of deep equality, mutual respect, where you're not encroaching on their freedom. You're able to have these deep, meaningful connections consistently over time, where it's safe to talk about your feelings, where it's safe to talk about who you really are, where you're able to explore new experiences that maybe, you wouldn't have allowed yourself to experience before, or maybe your partner doesn't actually feel the same way about. And because you've gotten so deeply rooted in yourself and your own vision and your own truth, you're able to experience them in a way that honors you and honors your partner. So that's some examples of what it looks like in real time. I can just tell you, for me personally, in my current marriage, this has been a huge transition for me to really allow for Troy to do the things that he truly feels best, that are best for him, without me judging them or even giving my input initially, at least, and not giving any input that sounds or could be interpreted as being critical or judgmental. And so instead of just me naturally weighing in and being like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea, or no, that doesn't sound good, or no, I don't want that, or I think you should do this. Instead, it's now me asking him questions about, oh, okay, cool. Tell me more about this decision you're thinking of making. Or, okay, cool. Tell me more about that program you're thinking of signing up for. Or, yeah, that sounds really good for you, and I'm really glad that you're going to be doing that. Or if I just totally don't agree, right, which is totally fine. You're entitled to have your opinion. I still have lots of my own opinions. Don't get me wrong by that means. And I might say, yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm glad you're researching that and checking that out for yourself. That doesn't feel like the best fit for me, and I'm interested to see where that takes you. Completely different from how I used to be even just a few years ago, probably even just a year ago, right? I still would have had a lot of strong opinions that I came to now learn and understand as me really being critical or judgmental of the decisions that he is making or thinking of making. So that is what it looks like in real time to be rooted in desire, both as it relates to money and your business, and also your significant relationship. So to summarize our time together today, you want to be there now, right? I get it. You want those results. You want that big vision. You want it now. And you should. Like, that's awesome. And the fastest way to truly create those results that you just love and light you up without burning you out, that are easeful, authentic, repeatable, and feel natural, is by focusing in on what you desire. You were conditioned to think that the fastest way to get the results that you want is doing a lot of things, which we covered today in great detail, why that's the case. And then we also covered that desire is actually the fastest way to get you those results by focusing and narrowing in your focus, right? And also up-leveling your life skills. And then lastly, what we covered today is that living from desire is actually what allows you to feel deeply aligned and authentic in real time. So a couple of quick things that I'm going to suggest for you that allows you to just literally dig in and get started with doing this today, creating faster results, is to go through your calendar. Like, literally audit your calendar and look at what does not inspire you. What is not lighting you up? What does not feel deeply aligned for you to be doing? And then make a decision. How can I move this off of my calendar? And then the second thing that I'm going to offer for you today is get to the end of the day, right? And simply ask yourself, where did I fall back into that old way of living where I'm trying to do everything? And just think about, notice, see if you can figure out what was the one or two thoughts that you had that led you back into operating that way. Like wanting to cover all your bases and do all the things, which I refer back to as my survival skills and just my more primitive way of approaching life. What were the thoughts that you started having that told you, I got to try to do all the things? And then lastly, challenge yourself in one small way to be more aligned with what you truly desire. Right? So you can actually start to experience yourself getting faster results by zoning in, narrowing in on one thing that you really desire right now. And then allow yourself to actually take action every day moving forward toward that one thing that you desire, so that you can see yourself getting those faster, getting the results that you really want, even faster than what you were doing before. All right, you guys, that's it for me. Thanks so much for being here with me. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And all of the links that you need to get a hold of me, as well as other episodes to check out, will be here in the show notes. Between now and when I see you next, go be extraordinary.